Let us examine the opening lines of the poem. Civilization is hooped together. Hoop. What does the word hoop mean? Hoop is a noun which means strip, especially a strip of iron. Or in today's world, a strip of plastic used for binding things together, used for binding planks together, such as the planks of a barrel. Why has the poet used the word hoop? The poet wants to highlight the temporary nature of civilization. Civilization is hooped together. It is patched together. It is not an organic whole. It is not something organic at all. It is not something homogeneous. It is temporarily brought together as if using hoops and is waiting for an opportunity to collapse, to disintegrate. Brought under a rule, civilization and political power frequently go hand in hand. So civilization is usually brought under a rule. Take the case of the Roman civilization. You have the Roman Empire. Take the case of the Greek civilization. You have the Greek city-states brought under a rule. There is a political setup. There is a political administration which helps the civilization to be hooped together under the semblance of peace. Peace is the foremost condition for a civilization. But in this case, the poet says that it is not peace. It is not real peace. It is not genuine peace, but the semblance of peace. It's a beautiful word, semblance. Outward appearance, apparent form. Outward appearance which frequently contrasts with the inward reality. The apparent form which usually contrasts with the reality within. The peace that we see, the peace that we find to be the foundation of the civilization is not real peace, is not genuine peace, is not everlasting peace, but only the semblance of peace. I know of a principal who used to declare in staff meetings that he wanted a semblance of discipline. He knew that it was impossible to create genuine discipline in his college, which is one of the greatest colleges of Kerala. So all he decided was a semblance of discipline. It should appear like discipline. It did not really be discipline. The semblance of a marriage. From the outside, it appears to be a marriage, but it is not really a marriage. By manifold illusion, how is this peace, this semblance of peace attained? By manifold illusion, by multifaceted illusion. It is not real, it is illusory. It is by utilizing numerous illusions that a civilization attains the peace that it claims to enjoy. And of course, that peace is not a real peace, but only the semblance of peace. The point that the poet wants to make is that every civilization is a very temporary, transient setup, waiting for an opportunity to collapse, waiting for an opportunity to disintegrate. This is because the peace that it attains or things that it attains is attained through multifaceted illusion. And at the first opportunity, these illusions will vanish and the peace will be shattered and the civilization will collapse, will disintegrate. But man's life is thought. What a profound line, or rather, what a profound half a line. There are only 5 words here, but they mean so much. In fact, the passage is open to interpretation on several planes. But man's life is thought. The first meaning of the word thought, which strikes me, is worry, anxiety. Man's life is worry. Man's life is anxiety. Man's life is unhappiness. However fantastic the achievements of your civilization are, the life of the individuals who compose the civilization are always filled with misery. Man's life is thought. Most of you watching this video are young men and young women. You may find it difficult to comprehend fully this interpretation of the passage, but I find it very easy. If I am asked today to capture the quintessence of my life in a single word, I shall say anxiety. I think I suffer from an anxiety neurosis. and strictly between us. I am under medication, but the medication has only worsened the neurosis. I feel like referring to a passage from William Wordsworth. In Resolution and Independence, William Wordsworth says, and I quote, "We poets in our youth begin in gladness, but thereof come in the end despondency and madness." Unquote. I thought that Wordsworth had used the word sadness, but while checking the quotation, I discovered that Wordsworth used the word madness. It really frightens me. Thought can mean philosophy. I'm currently working on a book on Western political thought. Here it means Western political philosophy. So thought can mean firmly held opinion. Thought can mean ideological position. What is the poet trying to say here? However great the achievements of your civilization are, man's life is thought. It is bound to spark disaffection among the people. It is bound to ignite dissatisfaction among the people. Whatever be the achievements of your civilization, the people under it are certain to have an ideological position. The poet does not clarify what kind of ideological position will be held by the people under a civilization. But there seems to be the suggestion that the ideological position will be opposed to the civilization. However well a civilization delivers the goods, there is bound to be opposition, ideological opposition to the civilization from within the civilization. Michel Foucault developed the theory that where there is power, there is resistance. According to Foucault, power and resistance go hand in hand. It is impossible to find power without resistance. W.B. Yeats is trying to say something very similar here. Man's life is thought. The leaders of every civilization think that, believe that they are doing great things. But the fact is that all that they are doing is to generate ideological opposition to their civilization. Man's life is thought. I have one more interpretation to offer, and that I think is the best interpretation. Thought means intellectual activity, spiritual achievement. Man's life is thought. Man's life is not the physical markers of civilization, but intellectual activity and spiritual attainment. This is the most appropriate interpretation when you view the totality of the thematic structure of the poem. The poem is about India. The poem is about Indian civilization. And in India, you have always been taught that what you see is less important than what you do not see. That the physical is less important than the spiritual. That the body is less important than the soul. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that just as a man casts aside his worn out clothes and puts on a new set of clothes at the time of death, the soul throws aside its old body and enters a new one. Chapter 2, verse 22. So man's life is thought. Man's life, real life, operates on the intellectual plane, functions in the spiritual realm. We have to remember this while discussing civilizations, their achievements, and their aspects. The real life of man is not what is visible on the surface, but what remains hidden deep inside. Physical monuments are bound to turn to dust one day or the other, but spiritual monuments are eternal, are immortal. Some of you may feel that my lectures are a tad too detailed. In fact, a viewer has complained that my lectures are a bit too detailed through her WhatsApp message. I very much appreciate her point of view, but I feel that that is how my lectures should be. The aim of my classes is not to facilitate an average student to pass her PG examination rather effortlessly. That is no big deal. The aim of my lectures is to help an average student or even a below average student to do extremely well in her PG examination and perhaps bag a university rank. The aim of my classes is also to help an average student or even a below average student to clear the civil services main examination. That I think is something great. So those of you who feel that my lectures are too detailed, please understand that it is quite easy to lecture in a cursory manner, in a perfunctory manner. But I don't want to do that because no useful purpose will be served. Please understand that whatever I do is done with the best of intentions. Even though the results may be not what are aimed at.